Profits do not guarantee your business survival. In fact, even profitable businesses do collapse and become bankrupt. A case in point is that of Mama Mboga, whose only capital is 1,000 Kenya shillings. She goes to the market and buys a stock of 1,000 Kenya shillings. Then later on sells to a hotel customer on credit terms for 7 days. At how much? At 3,000 Kenya shillings. So on paper, this Mama Mboga has made a profit of 2,000 Kenya shillings. However, since this is the money she will receive only after 7 days, she struggles to continue restocking her shop. So the following day, she's not able to restock because she has no money. The day after, what happens to her loyal customers? They disappear. They come, they find Mama Mboga is not there, the shop is empty, and they go to the next shop. So that is a very good case where a profitable, promising business dies because of cash flow challenges, because of improper cash management and working capital inefficiencies and ineffectiveness. Now, I want us to look at 3 things that someone needs to consider in order to avoid their businesses from suffering the same fate like that of Mama Mboga. Number 1 is suppliers, number 2, customers, and number 3, inventories. So a supplier is a person from whom you get the product and merchandise that you sell in your shop. For the case of Mama Mboga, it is the market. But I want us to look at the supply chain, where we have the manufacturer, we have the distributor, the wholesaler, retailer, and end user. And we assume for your case, you are a wholesaler. A wholesaler buys their stock from the distributor. And the way the structure for business to business model is that most of the transactions are done on credit terms. So as a wholesaler, you go to the distributor and buy goods and merchandise on credit terms. And that's where your business starts. How you negotiate matters a lot, whether your business will survive or will thrive. Now, number 1, you negotiate with the supplier the lowest prices possible for the goods that you are getting from them. Because when you come back to your shop, that will determine the price that you will set to your customer. If you buy at high prices, you will also be forced to sell to your customers at high prices. If you buy at low prices, then you will have an edge even towards your competitors. But most importantly, factor number 2, when it comes to dealing with suppliers, is to bargain for a long payment period. You need to push the supplier as much as possible in terms of when you are required to pay them for the goods that you have taken on credit. If you can be able to get 3 months, those are 90 days, someone giving you goods on credit so that you can go and sell. And when you sell, after 3 months, that's when you are supposed to pay for them. And by the way, people say that for business, you need to always have capital. It is not always the case. Sometimes you can be given goods on credit by a distributor, you go sell, and after you sell, that's when you go and pay them. So assuming you have managed to push for 90 days, that gives you some leeway, some breathing space. Now, you have managed to buy goods at low prices, and number 2, to bargain for long payment periods. Now, when you come to your shop, you meet, number 2, a person called a customer. And this customer for you as a wholesaler is a retailer. It's another business. This person tells you that I also want to buy goods from you on credit. And you say yes, because a favor was extended to you and you want to extend the same favor to the retailer. And this is the point where you have to be very innovative and creative. You cannot give the same credit terms to your customer as you received from your suppliers. And this is where people go wrong. They negotiate for a short payment period from their suppliers, but now when they come to negotiate with their customers, the customers harass them, intimidate them, and they bargain for long payment period for their customers. And this business always struggle with cash flow management. They struggle with liquidity challenges. So for your case, because I don't want you to struggle, what you do, if you are given 90 days as credit terms, the number of days or the duration in which you need to consider to pay the goods you bought on credit, you should, as much as possible, push your customer to pay as soon as it is possible. If they can pay cash, the better. But if they push you very hard, ask them to pay within 30 days. That is 1 month. What that means, assuming the moment you brought goods from the supplier, that same day is when you also found a customer to buy some of those goods, and you have given them credit terms of 30 days. Within 30 days, they will pay you back, and you will still be left with 60 days before you are required to pay the supplier. And therefore, you can still be able to use that money and invest it more in your business. Now, perhaps the customer will not come on the first month. Maybe the customer will come on the second month after you procured goods from the supplier. Still, by the beginning of the second month, at the end of the second month, the customer will have paid you. The same thing, a customer can come at the beginning of the third month, and towards the end of the third month, this customer will have paid you. So you will not struggle to repay the supplier. It would be very challenging if you were to do it the other way around, that your customers are to pay you within 90 days and you are to pay your customers within 90 days. You are to pay your suppliers within that days. That would cause you a serious financing challenge. And this is what happens to most property management firms. What property management firms do, they agree with the landlord that I will pay you all the rent that tenants are supposed to pay for your building. We assume that the rent payable from that building by all the tenants is about $500,000. And the agreement is, I will pay you by 5th of every month. By 5th of every month, me as the property manager, I will pay the landlord all that money. Then it will be upon me to be left collecting the same money from the tenants. Most of the tenants will start paying from 5th, from 10th, others will pay on 15th, others on 20th. You can imagine this property manager, if they have such 10 clients who they have promised to pay $500,000 at the beginning of every month, 10 of them, it's about $5 million. This property manager needs to have about $5 million to be able to pay the clients before the tenants pay. And that's why most property management firms, they experience liquidity challenges. And the solution to that is to get and register for an overdraft facility. And I just wanted to highlight where there's a mismatch between when you are supposed to collect money from your customers to when you are supposed to pay your supplier. A good case, a good example is for property managers. So in our case, we plan very well, and therefore the customer, they pay us before the time needed for us to pay the suppliers. Number 3, inventory. For you to be on top and in control of your cash management, of your working capital, to prevent liquidity challenges that can easily make your business collapse very easily. There are 2 types of liabilities, the short-term liabilities and the long-term liabilities. When you are unable to pay off and to service short-term liabilities, even the ones that you owe or you have commitments with the bank, that moment, the long-term liabilities are converted to become short-term liabilities, and they are demanded by your lender with immediate effect. A case in point, you go to the bank and you borrow 10 million Kenya shillings. And the bank agrees with you, this 10 million Kenya shillings, you will pay it within years. So per month on average, let's assume you are paying 100,000. 100,000 you pay per month, then you are left with 9.9 million that you still need to pay. But the bank is not pushing you to pay the 9.9 million. The second month, you pay another 100,000. You are left with a loan of 9.8 million. The bank has no problem with you. The third month, another 100,000, and you are left with 9.7 million. But if you start to struggle, the 4th month, you are unable to pay. The 5th month, you are unable to pay. Maybe something has happened to you and you cannot continue paying the 100,000 for some time. Automatically, that loan balance that the bank had agreed with you that you will pay within 10 years, it becomes payable immediately. That's when they do a foreclosure. That long-term liability is converted to short-term, and they demand it because they have noted you have liquidity challenges and by extension, solvency challenges. And when you become insolvent, technically you are bankrupt. The bank comes and auctions the properties that were used to secure that facility, just because you are unable to manage your liquidity short-term financial responsibilities. So to avoid that, we discuss number 3, inventory. Be very careful. Even if the supplier is offering you goods on credit and the terms are 3 months for you to arrange yourself, to sort yourself, keep your house in order, sell and pay the supplier for the goods you procured on credit after 3 months. Now, you might become very greedy and acquire and procure as much goods as possible. A case in point, let's assume that you sell laptops, and on a monthly basis, your monthly average, say it is 100 laptops that is per month. So within 3 months, you will have sold 300 laptops. But at the beginning of the season, you went to the supplier and procured on credit terms 1,000 laptops. You just wanted your shop to look very stocked and very beautiful, and by doing that, you are not answering to the question of demand for your laptops. You are just answering to other issues in terms of your emotions, how you want people to see your shop has many laptops. So therefore, after 3 months, you will have only be able to sell 300 laptops. These other 700 laptops, because you procured 1,000, they are still in your shop. And supplier is coming after you. They want you to pay them. including what you have sold and what you have not sold. That's where people start experiencing pressure. The cash flow, you feel it is draining you, it is drowning you. You don't have money. Money, yes, you can see the resources here, the assets are here, and the problem is you cannot easily be able to convert those resources into immediate cash. And when the supply is too much on you, you might be forced to damage your relationship with the supplier. Next time, they will not give you such on credit. You could be forced to go to a Shylock, those people who lend you money at very high interest rates, so that you can be able to pay your supplier, or maybe to the bank or to the SACCO. But nonetheless, these are challenges that you should have avoided if you had requisitioned for the right quantity of goods that you could be able to sell within a period of 3 months without any pressure. And the same thing when it comes to the customers that you are supplying on credit. For heaven's sake, ensure that you vet them, that they have the capability, the capacity of the right character. Where necessary, just ensure they put a deposit with you before they can acquire goods from your credit. Otherwise, if you just give and lend and sell goods on credit to every Tom, Dick and Harry, you will have a challenge collecting those trade receivables. So in short, for your business to be very different from that of Mama Mboga, you need to ensure that you manage your suppliers very well, negotiate for low prices and for long payment terms. Number 2, customers, sell to them at competitive prices and negotiate for short payment period when they are buying on credit terms. And number 3, when you are dealing with inventory, don't overstock your shop. Just get what is necessary, so that if you are dealing with perishable goods or goods that get out of fashion very quickly, you will not have goods that are becoming obsolete in your shop. That's how you make sure that you build a business that grows, that scales, that is sustainable, and business that will make you to leave a legacy. When you know better, you do better.